top of the line.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Wedding Planning Simplified. I'm Amy from Unmistakably You. And if you have been joining us weekly, welcome back. Thank you for coming and popping in every week. Please don't hesitate to leave us a comment and say hi or say how you're doing, where you are in the wedding planning. We're always interested to know. If you are new to the group and joining us for the first time, welcome. We do a weekly live every Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now, during wedding season, sometimes we're not always live because it's a little bit busy. It's a lot of bit busy in 2022. So we are always on the move, but it is important to us that we check in with you. So please do us the favor of checking back in with us. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how your wedding plans are coming along. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post them in the comments or to send me an email, amy@unmistakably.you.com. If you have been around for a little while, you know that this September, as we are potentially changing up some routines, maybe there's some back to school for you or maybe your kiddos, or maybe with the equinox coming up, you're changing some things up. We have been talking about self-care. So if you missed our last two lives, don't hesitate to go back into our archives and check those out. We talked about the importance of setting up date nights with your partner. And last week we talked about the importance of healthy, nutritious food in order to feel great on your wedding day. So there was a free download that came with last week's episode. If you didn't grab that, then shoot me an email, amy@unmistakably.you.com, or you can scroll down and you can find it linked in the group as well. Now today, we didn't quite make the original plan that we had wanted to do. So we've tweaked a little bit, and I want to just jump in really quickly today and talk about post-wedding self-care. This is something that I think maybe gets overlooked when you're planning the wedding. You're focusing on all of the details and the nitty-gritty of the day, and you don't really think much past the actual day. So once you've got all of the day of details in place, I encourage you to think just a little bit about the morning after and then even the weeks after the wedding. Now, we talked back in August about what the post-wedding blues can look like. And that's something that a lot of people do struggle with. So if you are really into your wedding planning, it's really taking over a large part of your life. As soon as that goes away, it can leave a void that can be hard to deal with. So go back again in those archives and check that out. It's something that you want to start thinking about long in advance of the wedding, maybe finding a new activity to start or a new trip to plan or a renovation, perhaps something to occupy your time and to fill up that void that's been left by all of the time that you spent wedding planning. Now, when we're talking specifically about the morning after the wedding, you'll want to do a couple of things in advance to make it a little easier on you the morning after. Now, regardless of whether you drink or not, the energy that you are going to expend on your wedding day is astronomical. You have spent probably months, maybe years preparing for this day, and the culmination of all of that effort, as well as the emotions that you're processing and the input from all of the people who love you, there's going to be stressful input, there's going to be happy input, there's going to be excited input, and you are processing all of these incredibly complex emotions and dealing with all of this energy on the day of the wedding. And that takes a physical toll on you as well as a mental toll on you. And then you add to that the fact that on the wedding day, you are on for hours. In many cases, you have to be on from 7 a.m. or maybe even 6 or 5, depending on when you're starting, you're getting ready, until the wee hours of the morning often. If your reception ends at midnight or 1, or maybe there's an after party, it can quickly turn into a 20-hour day, which absolutely takes a mental toll and an emotional and a physical toll on you. So think in advance about the way that you are going to structure the day after and the things that you're going to pack for the day after. It's pretty common to do a morning after brunch for your guests, for your wedding party. And even if you're not doing that, there's often some element of cleanup that has to happen. Maybe you need to go retrieve your decor from the venue. Maybe if you host it on private property or in a tent, you are literally tearing down the whole thing, including tables and chairs and linens and returning rentals and all of that stuff. So plan carefully for the morning after. If you are hosting a brunch, think about maybe hosting that brunch as late as you can to get an extra hour of sleep, which you probably will desperately need. Think about if you're doing any teardown. You may be limited by the venue in terms of when you need to come pick up your items. But if you are tearing down on private property, or if you have the whole day with the venue to tear down, maybe push that tear down back by a little bit so that you do, again, get that extra hour of sleep. When you're thinking about what you're going to pack, if you're not staying at your home on the night of the wedding, think a little bit in advance about the way you might be feeling. If you are a drinker and you're likely to consume a fair amount on the night of the wedding, you'll want to prepare accordingly and make sure that you've packed items that will help you to feel as well as you possibly can the next morning. So, what I mean by that is pack lots of water. If you're not a tap water drinker, bring a lot of water with you to the hotel or to the B&B or wherever it is that you're staying. You're going to want to drink a lot of water the night after the wedding, once you go to bed, or just before you go to bed. And then you're going to need a lot for the next morning to rehydrate, particularly if you've been drinking. Even if you haven't been drinking a whole lot of alcohol, during the day of the wedding, it's so busy that oftentimes our couples don't find time to eat healthy food or to drink enough water. So rehydrating before bed and then again the next morning is going to be important. You may want to think about bringing some painkillers if you are potentially going to overindulge. It's never a bad thing to maybe proactively take one before you go to bed and then have them on hand again for the next morning. If you have stomach troubles, make sure that you've brought some Tums or some Pepto or something that might relieve that for you. If you're not staying at home, just think in advance about those kinds of things that you might need. You'll also want to think about how you can have the best night's sleep you can after your wedding night, even if you're not staying at home. So maybe that means packing your own pillow. I know when I stay in a hotel, I always have to bring my own pillow. So think about that. Think about bringing, some comfy jammies. I don't want to assume what you are going to do or what you're not going to do on your wedding night, but I can tell you that a large percentage of couples do not do what you think you're going to do on your wedding night. I mean, absolutely, some do. But that whole, it's going to be the first time because we've lived in separate houses and we've never stayed together before, and this is going to be the first time. That's like a 1950s kind of thing. And we know that that doesn't often happen anymore. So in the event that you are going to get freaky on your wedding night, amazing, pack accordingly for your clothing. But if you're aiming to get some sleep, pack accordingly the other way. So do what you can to try and get the most restful sleep that you can. Close the blinds in your hotel room or your B&B or your house, wherever you're staying, so that you can get an extra little bit of sleep in. If you have pets, you might want to consider boarding them for the night so that you don't have Fido waking you up as soon as the sun comes up in the morning. If you have kids, you might want to think about sending them to grandma and grandpa's or seeing if there's an alternate arrangement you can make so that they don't wake you up at the crack of dawn. So even if you're getting a limited amount of sleep, try to make the best of it. If you are likely to wake up a little bit under the weather, plan for that accordingly beforehand as well. And then thinking past that morning after the wedding, do try to plan something exciting to look forward to so that you can avoid those post-wedding blues. As always, if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me, amy@unmistakably.you.com. And please join us live next week on Sunday, what is the date next Sunday? 25th. We have Jess, who works with us at Unmistakably You and is also a remarkable yoga teacher. She's coming in to do actually a live kind of mindfulness meditation yoga session next week. So we'll be wrapping up our self-care September with that. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you here next Sunday with Jess for meditation and yoga. Take care.